Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian and welcome back to Elite Dangerous. Today I'm going to head on above the galaxy, trying to get as high as I possibly can using the newly implemented navigation system. Now the footage recorded here was captured during the weekend before the beta closed down. Beyond the new 20,000 light year route plotting, there are a number of other features that seem to have been implemented. Right here, this one caught me completely off guard. Been doing a number of jumps, and here I jumped into a binary star system, but as you can see, it's not immediately apparent just where those stars are. What's happened is that the FSD has dropped us out of hyperspace, well out of range of these stars. One of the very few dangers of deep space travel was always the possibility of exiting hyperspace and finding yourself trapped between two stars. Well, it seems that that is no longer a possibility. It may be that this is an unintended change, but I highly doubt it. It seemed to be very deliberate. That said, during binary stars is not the only time this occurs. It sometimes happens on singular stars, as you can see here. As I exit hyperspace, the star is well below me. In fact, if I want to use fuel scooping, I'm going to have to travel right towards the star. Of course, a change like this does raise the question of why. Now, pure speculation here because I have absolutely no idea whether this is likely to be the case, but removing a danger like the aforementioned one would be extremely beneficial to an autopilot, wouldn't it? But who knows, maybe, maybe not. Here I am then, way above the galactic core, close to 1,000 light years here, almost but not quite as high as you can actually go. Now there's a few jumps left before I reach the end of the journey here. But before that, I wanted to stop off and check out a few planets. This one here is a very small rocky world. You can see potato-like, of course. Seen many of these before, but all of them I like to check out again depending on the location. With a backdrop like this one, it's likely to be very dark down on the surface, and well, it's an interesting backdrop to say the least, isn't it? Now, I'm not too far from inhabited space here, almost directly up from that area. If you go towards the galactic rim, the view would look very, very different. In fact, you'd be able to see almost the entire galaxy. If you go towards the core, the view changes again. But regardless of where you are, stars out here are very sparse and few and far between. Generally, you're about to plot a route in one or two directions, and that will be pretty much it. Another thing I like to look out for is fog and mist. Sometimes you can find this embedded within craters, other times within canyons, and sometimes if you get really lucky you may find a planet completely shrouded in it. While Stellar Forge, the system responsible for generating the Milky Way, does have some pretty well defined rules for where the fog can appear, it's not particularly predictable from a player's point of view. Around this side of the planet the colours looked very muted because the fog was laying against a blue backdrop. Around the other side of the planet though, things got a little bit more interesting. It's unfortunate perhaps that the Asp is not a particularly fast ship. Although it can be modded to get quite fast, it's nowhere near as fast as some of the smaller ships out there. It's these sort of areas that I like to fly over the surface as low and as fast as possible. And with enough speed, it's easily possible to find yourself rapidly travelling in and out of the fog. Even after all this time, I still occasionally find myself disappointed by the lack of planetary maps here. Originally, the idea was that every planet would get a planetary map with an advanced discovery scan, but that only happens now with a basic surface scan, so you're left trying to fiddle on these low-resolution images here to try and find decent-looking planets. Fortunately, I do have an eye for that still, and came across this rather nice-looking world here. Now for me, it really is these types of worlds that convey a huge sense of scale, and this largely due to the type of features on the planetary surface here. And this world is not too unlike Europa found back in Sol. In case you're wondering, I'm not actually using any graphics mods here in this video. I tend not to use those during phases of beta. This planet is very similar to one I had in a video the other day, and I noticed a number of people actually asking for that planet's location in the comments section. The planet in question had a lot of ridges and a lot of mountains and was pretty impressive. I've put the location in the video description. For those of you that asked, you'll probably know exactly the planet I'm referring to. I'll also put the location of this planet down in case you're interested, but there are plenty of planets like this one around if you're prepared to look. A few more jumps left then, and I soon found myself as high as I was able to go with my asp here. Now, had I spent a bit more time preparing the route, and had I brought enough synthesis with me, it's highly likely I could have got quite a bit further above my current location, maybe by as much as another 600 light years or so. But to be perfectly honest, the view up here is gorgeous enough. At around 1200 to 1400 light years above Sol, I know there's very little above me and the entirety of creation below me. But I think on my next trip out this way I'm going to try and be a bit better prepared and attempt to go that bit further. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.